Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you had an enjoyable lunch break and welcome back to our final policy dialogue session on the topic of innovation and digital transformation. For that, I would like to invite our moderator, Mr. Ki Young Ko, whom is the Director of the Asian Pacific Training Center for ICT and Development from ASCAP, to guide us through the discussion. Mr. Ko, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Great. Thank you for the kind introduction and welcome to our session number 3, Innovation and Digital Transformation. As introduced, my name is Ki Young Ko, Director of the UN-APC ICT, Asia Pacific Training Center for ICT for Development. We are a specialized ICT capacity building institution under UN-ASCAP. I'm very delighted and happy to moderate this important session today. And again, thanks for joining. As we are moving slowly into with COVID era, we need to build it better in an effective and fast manner. And we all know we cannot have the future we want without innovation and digital transformation. In that regard, this conversation will be very meaningful and timely. About this session, we'll have 6 UN offices based in Korea who will make a presentation on their relevant work related to this topic, and followed by a panel discussion. To facilitate today's discussion, we have 4 guiding questions, namely, first, what are opportunities and challenges of leveraging innovation and digital transformation for delivering mandates of UN agencies? Second, how to promote coordination with corresponding Korean government agencies for advancing international development cooperation. Third, how to explore the approaches and strategies to strengthen capacity development support to developing member states. And lastly, what would be a way to enhance the understanding of new mindsets and competencies among UN agencies and other stakeholders to leverage innovation and digital transformation. Without further ado, now I'd like to introduce our fellow speakers from 6 UN offices. Speakers, please turn on your cameras, please. Okay, now I'd like to introduce Mr. Robert De Jesus, a program officer from my office, UN-APC ICT. And next speaker will be Ms. Adita Kominder, head of UN Commission on International Trade Law, Regional Center for Asia and the Pacific. Our third speaker will be Mr. Hyundong Jo, head of UN Industrial Development Organization Investment and Technology Promotion Office. Our fourth speaker, Ms. Hyunjung Park, coordinator in UN Office on Drug and Crime, COSTAT Center of Excellence. Our fifth speaker, Mr. Keping Yao, senior governance and public administration expert with the UN Project Office on Governance. And our last but not the least, Mr. Pierre-Guillaume Brzezinski, Chief Digital Transformation Services, the World Food Program WFP, a technology division. And this will be a pre-record video message. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Robert. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Ko. I hope everyone can see me and see my slides. Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, Robert, we'll be able to see your slides.
Okay, good. So good afternoon. My name is Robert De Jesus, and I am a program officer at the Asian and Pacific Training Center for ICT for Development. We are a regional institute under the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. The center was established in 2006 and is in fact the first UN office that is part of the UN Secretariat system to be established here in Korea. And for 15 years, and through the continued support by the Korean government, we have been helping ESCAP member states in strengthening their human and institutional capacities to leverage digital technologies for sustainable development. Training has been at the heart of our work, but we also provide technical assistance and advisory services to member states, as well as maintain knowledge-sharing platforms that help expand the reach of our programs. The center has 3 flagship programs aimed at different beneficiaries. We have the Academy of ICT Essentials for Government Leaders, which we launched in 2008. And we then expanded our work to include students and youth through the primer series on ICTD for Youth, which we launched in 2012. And 5 years ago, in 2016, we expanded our work to include women entrepreneurs through the Women ICT Frontier Initiative. So let me just quickly go through each of these programs. The Academy of ICT Essentials for Government Leaders, it consists of an ICTD curriculum with training modules on different themes and topics related to digital technologies for development. And these include introductory modules, modules on digital inclusion, on development challenges that are transboundary in nature, such as climate change and disaster risk management, and modules on new and emerging issues. We also have a set of in-depth training modules on digital government and transformation. And in fact, next week, we will be launching our inaugural regional webinar on digital government. And for those of you who are interested to join, please feel free to reach out to us. The Academy training program has been introduced in over 40 countries in the region in partnership with ICT ministries and government agencies. And many civil service training organizations have also integrated our modules in their own capacity building programs for civil servants. So the second flagship program is called the Women ICT Frontier Initiative, or WIFI for short, which focuses on ICT for women entrepreneurship. And this is targeted to both policymakers and women entrepreneurs. And we have customized modules that have been developed for each of these tracks. Although this program is relatively new compared to the Academy, the WIFI program has been introduced in 12 countries, including Bangladesh, Cambodia, India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. And just to share with you our recent work under the WIFI program, in Cambodia, we are helping women entrepreneurs with small and micro enterprises to use their mobile phones in recording their income and expenditures. Many women entrepreneurs in Cambodia are unable to apply for bank financing because they do not have a good record of their income and expenses. And ESCAP and APCICT have partnered with a social enterprise in Cambodia called She Investments to develop a bookkeeping mobile app. And together with She Investments, we have been providing training to women entrepreneurs on ICT and financial management and how to use the bookkeeping app. So that's the second flagship program. And for the third flagship program of APC ICT, we have the primer series on ICT for Youth. And our goal is to impart knowledge on ICT for development to our future leaders. We do not, however, provide direct training to students and youth. Our approach is to partner with institutions of higher learning, with colleges and universities and other training partners to expand the coverage of ICT for development in their curricula. And we developed learning resources called Primer Series, which universities can use in their own educational programs. So that's a quick overview of our three flagship initiatives. And as I mentioned earlier, in addition to training, we provide technical assistance to member states on policy formulation. One recent example is the advisory service we are now providing to the Republic of Maldives in developing their national data privacy legislation. And we have also been assisting our national partners in developing
Robert, can you speed up a little bit and wrap up?
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
So if you would like to learn more about our work, I encourage all of you to go to our website where you can access all our resources. And we also have the APC ICT Virtual Academy, which is the e-learning platform for our program. So that's a quick introduction to the work of APC ICT. And on behalf of my colleagues, we would like to take this opportunity to express our deep appreciation to the government of Korea, whose continued support has made all these programs and activities of the center possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Short housekeeping announcement for audience. Please send your questions to the host and keep it short and to the point. And to our speakers, please be mindful of time because we have a lot of speakers today. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Atita. The floor is yours. We cannot hear you.
Thank you very much. I wasn't able to unmute myself, so I hope everything is good now. Please allow me to share my screen. And I hope you see things well in full screen mode.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Great, thank you. Thank you again, Kyung, and distinguished speakers and guests. Greetings from the Untitled Regional Center for Asia and the Pacific in Incheon. My name is Athita Commander, and I'm head of Untitled RCAP. It is a pleasure to deliver these remarks to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Republic of Korea joining the United Nations, which also coincides with the 10th anniversary of Untitled RCAP's opening its doors in Incheon, thanks to the kind support of the Republic of Korea. Allow me to briefly introduce UNCITRAL. Based in Vienna, Austria, the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law promotes the harmonization and modernization of international trade law to facilitate international trade and sustainable development. Since its inception in 1966, UNCITRAL has been focusing its work on trade in goods, but with the advent of the digital economy, we can witness an important shift in the focus of the topics for international lawmaking. I firmly believe that it is the digital economy that would allow us to recover from the pandemic quickly and to address the challenges associated with climate change. Already for over 20 years, e-commerce has been a major focus for the work of UNCITRAL, which has been at the forefront in the UN system in setting legal standards for doing business in the digital age. For example, in 1992, UNCITRAL adopted a law enabling electronic payments, followed by model laws on electronic commerce, electronic signatures, and most recently on electronic transferable records, for example, bills of exchange or bills of lading and the like, and also the Electronic Communications Convention. which altogether have been adopted in over 100 countries worldwide, with Asia-Pacific jurisdictions adopting at least one instrument or more, including the Republic of Korea, with more states to follow soon. In addition, UNCITRAL e-commerce instruments are benchmarked in free trade agreements as enablers of cross-border e-commerce and digital trade. For example, RCEP, which South Korea has signed and may soon ratify, recommends state parties to adopt or maintain a domestic legal framework for electronic transactions based on the UNCITRAL model law on e-commerce and the Electronic Communications Convention. So as a central and coordinating agency within the UN system for addressing legal issues related to digital trade, UNCITRAL has a key role to play to develop the right framework. There are many challenges in today's digital economy, where systems and platforms are used for the supply of goods and services, for the supply chain management, and also for dispute resolution. We need rules that apply across different systems, while also accommodating different trading practices that different systems allow. The success of UNCITRAL legal text requires provisions that address the needs of business of all sizes and that ensures legal protection to all. The UN member states that come to UNCITRAL sessions represent states in all stages of development. And UNCITRAL is required by its statute to bear in mind the interests of all peoples, and particularly those of the developing countries in the extensive development of international trade. UNCITRAL has noted that future work on legal issues related to the digital economy could assist efforts to bridge the digital divide, and this spirit, consistent with the Sustainable Development Goals, is guiding the exploratory and preparatory work that we are undertaking. Before I end my remarks, allow me to briefly introduce my office, the UNCITRAL Regional Center for Asia and the Pacific, which is UNCITRAL's only regional center and was established in Incheon in 2012. Supported by the South Korean government and also Hong Kong SAR China, the regional center carries out UNCITRAL's mandate in approximately 60 jurisdictions in the Asia-Pacific region. To students in the audience, UNCITRAL in Vienna and my office, RCAP in Incheon, have internship application opportunities twice a year, usually in December and June, and we would encourage those interested to apply. To learn more about UNCITRAL, we invite you to take our first online training course pictured there. The course is available in English and free of charge on the UNCITRAL website. An electronic certificate is downloadable from the platform for users who complete all 3 modules. You can also join the regional center's virtual events throughout the region, especially our November flagship events and Asia Pacific Day academic series. We invite you to peruse our webpage and subscribe to our mailing list via the QR code. Thank you again to the organizers of this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Atita. Bilingual presentation PPT material is very impressive. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite Mr. Cho, head of UNIDO. The floor is yours. We can see your slides.
All right, okay.
All right, great.
You hear me? Thank you. Good afternoon, friends. It's my pleasure to participate in this meaningful event. Well, today, I'd like to briefly introduce UNIDO's intervention to foster innovation and digitalization. UNIDO introduced a new approach to make the 4th industrial revolution work for all, resting on the 4 pillars, that is to be innovation, digital infrastructure, gender-responsive transformation, and the upscaling of digital capabilities in developing countries. Among them, my office, UNIDO's Investment and Technology Promotion Office in Korea, found that the startups have become one of the key players who bring the innovation and digital transformation to the society. Therefore, we are currently expanding our roles in supporting Korean startups' global business. So today I'll talk about the overall startup ecosystem in Korea and our intervention to promote startups' overseas expansions. Well, over the past decade, there has been a shift in Korean industry, as we all know. In the past, especially from 1960s to 1980s, Korea focused on building factories and establishing manufacturing-based companies which resulted in a buzz of today's leading conglomerate like Samsung, LG, Hyundai, SK, and etc. From 2010, the government started to actively foster the development of IT-based companies and startups with an aim to ultimately make them the country's economic cornerstone. As a result, the tech giant like Kakao and Naver and the former unicorns like Coupang and Ua Brothers have become the key players in the Korean business world. Also, as of October 2021, we have two so-called decacorn companies, Yanolja and Dunamu, and 12 unicorns, including TOS, Mushinsa, MarketCully, Tmall, etc. Here we have listed some of the key performances of the startup ecosystem in Korea. And let me point out a few meaningful figures. The number of startups founded in 2020 is almost 1.5 million. Its ratio to the entire enterprise is 15%. The number is expected to be consistently increasing every year. If you see the funding categories, the total investment raised from the venture capital is $3.9 billion in 2020, and the angel investment is about $500 million in the same year. In the support organization infrastructure part, you will see that there are more than 300 accelerators in Korea, including both public and private sectors, and more than 200 small and large co-working spaces. The proportion of overseas market entry among the startup is 7%, which is rather low compared to the company's desire to go global. At the same time, it means that there are still some rooms for growth for domestic startups. As I mentioned earlier, Korean startup scene has quickly evolved over the past years. Behind this remarkable growth, there have been dozens of supporting programs from the Korean government, local government, and also from the conglomerate. From the government side, there has been a significant increase in so-called startup support budget in the last decade. In 2020, the startup budget of Ministry of SME and Startups was about $850 million, which is 6 times bigger than that one of 2010. Also, a wide variety of startup encouragement policies have been put in place. For instance, from 2018, the types of levies exemption for startup have been expanded, and a higher tax deductible ratio was applied for startups. Not only in the governmental level, but also there are active supporting programs from the private sector. This is a snapshot of major private players, including accelerators, co-working spaces, and venture capital firms who have various investing and supporting programs for innovative startups. Today, we have invited Executive Director of DCAMP, the bank's Foundation for Young Entrepreneurs, which is one of the biggest private accelerator in Korea. So Mr. Kim will tell us more about their business. My office, the UNIDO Korea, is closely collaborating with the DCAMP and other partners to support expansion of the horizons for the startups. Actually, our main program used to include inviting foreign delegations to Korea and also sending Korean delegations to partner countries. However, under these circumstances of COVID-19 pandemic, that travel restriction still remains. We are focusing on activities that can be done either domestically or virtually. Among them, I'd like to introduce 2 exemplary activities done this year. First one is our close interaction with the diplomatic corps in Korea and matchmaking between them and the Korean startups who wish to enter into the global market. We have seen that there are many startups who developed state-of-art technologies or possess brilliant ideas, but does not have credible global networks. For them, UNIDO ITPO Korea acts like a bridge between them and continuously follow up the startups' progress. We have invited diplomatic corps from major target countries of startups, such as Indonesia, Vietnam, India, etc. The program consisted of embassies presentation and individual consultations between Korean startups and the delegation. So far, we have invited almost all the embassies from the Asian countries that can be a target of Korean startups. We are also planning to expand into other regions as well. Another activity is an operation of so-called Global Connecting Lounge. UNIDO Korea office is located in the Front One building, which is the largest incubator in the world. To make the most of this geographical benefit, we started to operate a lounge in this building to provide the up-to-date information of global market and customized consultation services for startups operating in the building. So we hope this kind of very practical assistance can help the scale up of the startups. Well, given the time constraints, I was only able to introduce very brief Korean startup market and the ecosystem. Since this field is moving so fast, the situation could be changed next year, maybe. Under the rapidly changing trend, UNIDO will take all possible steps to intensify our startup promotion activities, especially as an organization with a mission of industrial development in the UN family. So we are ready to welcome any UN offices or relevant organizations and an agency who are willing to join this initiative. So please reach out to us anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cho. And we'll be waiting to listen to Mr. Kim in our panel session. Okay, now I'd like to invite Ms. Park. The floor is yours. Go ahead. Ms. Park, we can see your slide. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Go on.
Good afternoon. It is my great honor to participate in this meaningful event as a presenter. My name is Hyunjung Park, Coordinator for United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, Center of Excellence for Statistics on Crime and Criminal Justice in Asia and the Pacific. To briefly explain about UNODC, we are a specialized agency of United Nations Secretariat working on drug, organized crime, corruption, and terrorism. Moreover, the UNODC is the custodian of a series of 2030 agenda indicators related to SDGs 3, 5, 11, 15, and 16. In 2019, the UNODC and Statistics Korea jointly established Center of Excellence, also known as the COE, to support countries in the region to improve statistical methodologies and technical capabilities with respect to production, collection, analysis, and dissemination of crime and criminal justice data. Broadly, the mandate of the COE is to enhance statistical capacity in the areas of crime and criminal justice throughout the Asia Pacific. To achieve this, the COE partners with relevant stakeholders at national and regional level, and we act as a knowledge hub on crime and criminal justice statistics at regional level. We also promote exchange of experiences and facilitate the creation of expert network. The major talking points in our society today are digital transformation and pandemic. Earlier this year, UNODC presented a strategy for 2021 to 2025 as part of integrated response to recover better, leave no one behind, and get back on track to achieve the SDGs. So we emphasize the necessity for stronger reach, evidence-based policy, and data analysis. Under this strategy, UN-ODC will improve data quality, relevance, accessibility, and usability, and analysis on drug and crime by using data from traditional sources and combine them. Using innovative solutions with big and smart data, these include geospatial information systems that build on new technology and methodologies, such as artificial intelligence-based methods. With improved detection, processing, and visualization of crime and drug threats and an integrated data system, we will better identify what matters on drug and crime when it matters, to generate prompt and timely policy responses at all levels. In line with this strategy, the COE recognized the need for digital transformation in the field of crime statistics, even more so due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The biggest challenge of current data collection is that due to social distancing, data collection mode is inevitably expanding to non-face-to-face mode, such as mobile and web-based methods. In addition, we need to examine how well we can measure pandemic-triggered racial hatred, domestic violence, and cybercrime. Face-to-face survey has weak flexibility and limited timeliness to changes in external environment. So it is necessary to consider applying it to multi-mode that can respond to changes in the survey environment by utilizing technical innovations. I would like to introduce an example that shows a system that can make statistical data collection more responsive statistical system in the future. Recently, Statistics Korea is building a new national statistical system. It is a cloud-based, real-time, future-oriented data collection system that safely connects and analyzes scattered public data or big data with the latest encryption techniques. This new concept system stores each data safely like ice cubes and securely links and analyzes them with the latest password technique only when necessary, using the hub and spoke model. This is one of the systems that may be explored further for utilizing in the context of crime statistics. If the pandemic prolongs, the data collection for victimization survey or corruption survey will require a longer response time from respondents, which makes surveys challenging. Therefore, it is necessary to more proactively utilize administrative data, crime-related public data, and big data. Accordingly, digital data collection method will enable us to capture even a little of the dark figure of crime, while reducing the response burden. COE plans to continue technical support and reach activities to improve crime statistics in the Asia-Pacific region and share innovative practices for data collection and system construction in the future so that they can be used in the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ms. Park. Very brief and insightful presentation. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite the Capping. Capping, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kian. Yeah, it's my great pleasure to participate in this panel representing the UN Project Office on Governance. My slide, please. Itching. Mr. Cole, sorry, I'm waiting. Yeah, okay, it's on. Yeah, thank you. Next, please. Next. Okay, so UN Project Office on Governance was established in 2006, and it is a project of collaboration between the Ministry of the Interior and Safety of the Republic of Korea and the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. UNPOC is the first UN office landed in the Republic of Korea, and we are celebrating the 15th anniversary next month. We are sincerely grateful for the strong commitment and continued support from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Information Society Agency over the past 15 years. The principal mission of this office is to strengthen the public administration capacities of developing countries with a focus in the Asia and the Pacific to pursue the sustainable development. Next, please. We work in 3 areas. The first area is strengthening institutions at both national and local levels, including institutional coordination for policy coherence and a national to local governance through a whole of government approach, and a changing mindset and upscaling of civil servants. The second area is promoting innovation for inclusive public service delivery with the focus on innovation and digital government. The third area is developing open innovation systems to engage the whole society, including the poorest and the most vulnerable, in designing, delivering, and implementing policies so to realize SDGs, as well as to design and implement effective partnership. Next, please. So second, I will talk about why we need data governance and also the general definition of data governance. The first is that data can affect the sustainable development. The 23rd Agenda acknowledges the importance of data for evidence-based in decision-making, and timely, reliable, quality, and disaggregated data are needed to the measurement of the progress of SDG implementation and ensuring leaving the one behind. With the data, we can enhance greater transparency and greater accountability, and also it help improve the better policy making and service delivery. But of course, you can see that data can also have some negative impact for the sustainable development. For example, it can also increase the widening inequality. Next, please. The COVID-19 has become an enabler of digital transformation. And actually, data governance is a prerequisite for successful digital transformation. During the COVID-19 crisis, governments are desperate for data for informed decision-making. Timely, quarterly, open, and disaggregated data and statistics are so important for agile and effective responses, including information sharing, e-participation, e-health, e-business, contact tracking and tracing, and etc. Actually, harnessing public value from data requires a long-term vision and approach. And effective data governance can ensure delivering the potential of public value of data, which includes the policies, regulations, national data strategy and leadership, data ecosystem, and the data technologies. Next, please. And also over the past 10 years, we have witnessed the rapid increase of data markets that generated data and network devices, and also the population connected. And also in the meantime, we also are seeing an increasing gap in data governance between reality and expected policy objective due to the rapid rise in data production. For example, the difficulty in data management, sharing, and analysis. And also we are also confronting the complexity of multiple and interdisciplinary data sources and the significant challenges of coordinating data collection, data partnerships, and data analysis. Next, please. So what is data governance? Actually, data governance is a systemic and a multi-dimensional approach to setting policy and regulations, establishing leadership and institutional coordination and a national strategy, nurturing and enabling data ecosystem, and streamlining data management. data governance is supported by dynamic relationship among policies, institutions, people, processes, and enabling technologies. Next, please. So actually, there's many models of data governance. The private sector, they also have their own models. And I'm introducing this UN model, which was based on the principles of SDG Goal 16. It's about the principles of accountability, effectiveness, and inclusiveness, and also based on the 4 pillars about policy regulations, national data strategy and leadership, data access system, and the data technologies. And also we have lots of elements like privacy and ethics, technologies, open government data, etc. Next, please. Now we are encountering those kind of major challenges in instituting effective data governance, notably about lack of institutional arrangements for coordination, coherence, and collaboration across government institutions, lack of chief data officer or data ombudsman for setting national strategy and overall coordination, the lack of legal framework for addressing privacy and protection of personal data, and maybe lack of standardized data platform for data storage and access to ensure public trust, and also maybe lack of enabling data access system, and there's no effective partnerships between government and private sector and civil society and people. And also sometimes we are encountering challenges of inadequate and insufficient data desegregation, which leaves the vulnerable groups unaccounted for and left out from government measures. And also maybe there are not enough measures for safeguard data security and ICT infrastructure. Next, please. So there's a bunch of policy recommendations. I will not read all. Those kind of recommendations including effective institutional coordination, a whole of society approach by engaging diverse stakeholders in the process of a data strategy and data framework development and implementation. And also we should ensure that data transparency through communication with the stakeholders. And we should have a continuous updates and developments in data governance to adapt to new situations. And also we should have innovative and timely actions or adjustments in relevant data policies to respond to the urgent situations. And the government should ensure inclusion of vulnerable groups by harnessing disaggregated data and collaborate with other stakeholders. Next, please. Now, before, yes, thank you. So UNPOC has been making its endeavors to support a digital transformation capacity development of member states by organizing training events and webinars on digital data governance and promoting global partnership. We're also developing the training toolkits on digital government transformation capability and digital data governance. And actually, I'm also introducing this kind of a UN DESA's curriculum on governance for the Sustainable Development Goals. We have like 8 training courses, 8 training toolkits, yeah. And among this kind of training toolkits, our office developed 3 training toolkits. On the one is in collaboration with the UN-DRR on the risk-informed governance and the frontier technologies on DRR and resilience. Another one is the national to local governance. And another one is the government innovation for social inclusion of vulnerable groups. So we are launching, officially launch this curriculum on governance for the SDGs next month. And I hope that more countries will use this curriculum for strengthening the public administration capacity. And thank you. And I look forward to close collaboration with you all. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Koh.
Thank you, Kaping, and congratulations on your 15th anniversary. And now I'd like to invite FP with the video, pre-recorded video message.
Your Excellencies, dear colleagues of the United Nations and dear partners, my name is Pierre-Guillaume Wielezinski. I'm the Chief of Digital Transformation Services for the UN World Food Programme, recording that message from Nairobi. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you. I wish I was with you in person or at least live, but all I can do is record a short segment to share with you a little bit the digital transformation journey, the insights, the lessons learned over the past 5 years in the World Food Programme. As you know, WFP is one of the largest humanitarian agencies. We operate in about 80 countries, and in any given year, we help between 90 to 100 million people. 5 years ago, we embarked on a large-scale digital transformation journey. This was about exploring technology, fundamentally changing how we operate and interact with a growing number of partners, government, but also obviously beneficiaries and the people we serve. That journey wasn't easy. It's not over. We're continuing going through this, but when every minute or extra mile is really the difference between life and death, even if the journey is not easy, you know it's very necessary. And so far, our investments have paid dividends in the fight against hunger. For example, with Scope, our digital beneficiary services management platform, just in the last year, we were able to transfer $1.5 billion to something like 20 million individuals using any kind of modality, mobile money, vouchers, ATM cards. We're able to interface with a number of financial services to really give the beneficiaries the power of choice. They can shop wherever they want, it can boost the local economy, and it gives them dignity. That data is also being analyzed carefully to see how do we adapt and respond to shocks like COVID, obviously, but others. How do we become a more agile and responsive organization to the needs of those beneficiaries? And as we continue delivering incredible value to the people who most deserve it and are the most vulnerable, WFP was also very active on its supply chain activities. Together with our colleagues in supply chain, we've dispatched 150,000 metric cube of PPE and respirators across the whole globe. We have saved $138 million by adopting data-driven decision-making. If we've made a lot of progress over the past 5 years, much is left to be done. And we know that we cannot tackle all the different problems and opportunities that digital presents on our own. We need to have donors, we need to have partners that work with us side by side on solving a lot of these issues. Obviously, financial support is always critical, but we've also seen the impact that effective exchange of expertise and knowledge across cutting-edge technology can make a real difference on scaling up our ambition as an organization. We've had a number of partners set up on the right path, and we've invested in, for example, thanks to their advice, how do we build a team that is at the forefront of insight and foresight and digital strategy and effectively works with all the functions across WFP to have a meaningful undertaking around digital? We had partner help us figure out how to better integrate various data and systems to accelerate decision making and providing more and effective, faster and more effective assistance. We had partner help us figure out how do we develop solutions that are by default protecting the privacy and the security of the people we serve. And this is a never-ending battle. Technology is constantly changing, and as much as we do have some good technological skills in-house, we realize that we need to have the likes of the private sector really come join us and help scale up some of these initiatives. The support that we've received from Korea on scaling up Scope and multiplying our integration with different payment instruments is proving critical. The support we've received to help us improve the accuracy of the identity and the deduplication of what we manage has been critical as well. And now we're exploring a partnership with South Korea Telecom to continue addressing some of the big challenges and opportunities we face in our strategy. So we're very keen to continue building partnership, taking opportunities together in the technology sector, particularly in Korea, which has shown the world how advanced and mature you are on the use of technology. And this is a conversation that will continue, and I look forward to being part of it. We're at a stage where we can leverage our experience and footprint to create greater synergies across the entire humanitarian sector. And we need to do this if we're serious about tackling world hunger, which, by the way, today is on the rise. It's becoming clear that the drivers of hunger are complex and linked to other critical issues. For example, we will not be able to eradicate hunger if there's no sustainable economic growth, if we don't tackle climate change and the impact it has on crop production and the food systems, if we don't empower women to have better livelihoods and to provide for themselves and their families, if we don't address some of the growing poverty and the inequality that we see all around us. And finally, access to clean water, sanitation, and affordable energy. All of these are drivers of hunger. And so what we're seeing is this is very much a network platform play, if you will. Governments are turning to WFP because of our expertise in social protection schemes. And we must continue helping them, not so that they rely on us to do this, but that they build their own capacity to be self-sufficient. The end goal of our humanitarian response is to help the people build the capacity to be leaders in their own emergency response. And we need to embrace together sustainable and resilient solutions. Digital is going to greatly accelerate some of that, and we're ready to play our part. And we can no longer work in isolation. And the power of partnership to achieve zero hunger is very clear to WFP. And I look forward to continuing to engage with the government of Korea, the many private sector who want to do the right thing and want to work with us and help us think through some of the challenges that we face. And I hope that Korea's continued support through funding, technical expertise, access to technology will continue to accelerate this mission. I think we've all seen since the beginning of the pandemic how fast the world can change. With technology as a great enabler of humanitarian response, partnership can help us keep pace and outsmart the challenges that we face and build a future of self-reliance for the people we serve. I thank you for your time. I wish you a very fruitful event and look forward to our continued partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. He wants to convey his message for your kind understanding that he actually meant the SK Telecom instead of South Korea Telecom. Thank you. And I'd like to thank all of the speakers for your wonderful presentation. And now I'd like to move into our panel discussion session. And I'd like to introduce our first panelist, followed by a question to our panelist, and I will move to the second panelist, and so on. And my apologies, since I have some raised hand, but I guess organizer, do you want me to entertain that hands, or I just proceed? Anyway, since we are running short on time, I rather tend to speak fast, so my apologies. Our first panelist is Ms. Jian Am, Director of Multilateral Cooperation Division, International Cooperation Bureau of the Ministry of Science and ICT, and she has more than 20 years of experience in ICT field. Ms. Am, thank you for joining us today, and good to see you again. Recently, Korea announced a Digital New Deal policy, which many developing countries are paying close attention to it. So please introduce the policy for us and your plan to provide necessary policy and technical support to developing countries in emulating similar policies. Floor is yours. Ms. Am?
네, 반갑습니다.
Hello everyone, my name is Jihyun. I'm Director of Multilateral Cooperation Division at the Ministry of Science and ICT. It's my honor for me to participate in this meaningful event celebrating the 30th anniversary of Korea's joining United Nations. Last year, there was a national strategy announcement, which is called the Digital New Deal. I'd like to talk about what has been proposed and what has been achieved for the past 1 year. I also talk about global cooperation projects that we are working on with developing countries. Now, let me talk about the Digital New Deal policy. It could be summarized in 2 aspects. There is digital ecosystem and promotion of zero-contact economy. There is a data dam initiative. We collect information and analyze them so that it can be applied in all different services. The Korean government is trying to successfully implement the Digital New Deal. There has been a lot of investment made. We are also promoting private sector investment. Relevant laws and regulations have been revised or newly established as well. Until last year, more than 10 billion Korean or 10 trillion Korean won have been established or invested in order to build digital infrastructure. There are some government ministries working on new 34 so
거기에는
programs
인공지능
working
복제도 규제
on
정비
establishing
로드맵이라든지
projects. There
산업의
is a
디지털 전환
roadmap
확산
for
전략 등
digital
굵직한 내용들도
roadmap
다수 포함이 되어 있습니다.
and other
그
major
복제도와
plans
관련해서는
related
그
to the rules and
국가
regulations.
지식정보법 그리고 국가
There is a National
공간정보기본법
Launch
그리고
Act
데이터
and there is
기본법 등과
a
같은
Special
뉴딜
Information
이행을
Act.
위한
There are
핵심적인 입법도
key
완료를 했습니다.
laws that have
규제
been
개선 차원에서는 그
established
민간의
to
혁신을
support the
지원하기 위해서
realization
규제
of digital New Deal.
샌드박스를 활용해서
And we are
총
using
한
regulatory
70여 건
sandbox so
이상의
far.
규제
More than
특례를
70 or so
부여하였고
cases received
4조
the
원
regulatory
규모의
special
뉴딜 펀드
treatment.
조성 등
And we're
민간
also
투자
promoting
활성화도
private
차질
sector
없이
investment.
진행되고
And so far,
있습니다.
4 trillion
이러한
worth
노력에
New Deal
힘입어
fund has
디지털
been
뉴딜은
set up.
한국 경제의 든든한 버팀목이
The
되어
New Deal
왔다라고 생각을
project
합니다.
has already made a
특히
lot of
이제
contribution
간단하게
to the
주요
Korean
성과를 이제
economy. I'd
말씀 좀
like to now talk about the
드리면
major
약
achievement
한
of the
17만
past 1
여개의
year.
기업 기관 그리고 이제 9만 명 이상의 이제 인력들이
170,000 companies,
디지털 뉴딜
organizations, and more
정책에
than
관련된 주요 사업에 직접적으로
90,000
참여하면서
people
그동안
have
이제 대규모 인력
participated in
참여로 인한
digital New Deal
그래서 이제
projects.
고용 위기를 다소나마 완화시킬
And
수
this
있었다라고
project
생각을
helped
합니다.
mitigate the
그리고 이제
employment
신산업,
crisis.
신시장 성장과
It
기업의 디지털
also
전환에도 이제
promoted
적극적으로
creation of new industries
성과가
and new
나왔는데요.
markets, and
특히
also
데이터
assisted
댐
corporate digital
사업으로 국내
transformation. With
데이터
the
시장이
data
전년
dam
대비 약
project,
14% 이상
local data
고성장을
market
이루었고
grew by
철강이나
14%
자동차
year on
부분
year.
등 이제 한국의
And
10대
we're
주력 산업
also
분야에서도 디지털
supporting
전환이
digital
적극적으로
transformation
지금
of
이루어지고
10
있다고
major industries,
보여집니다.
including steelmaking and
아울러서 이제
automaking.
민간의 투자와
Automobiles
참여도 이제
industry.
확산이
We
되고
are also
있는데요.
increasing the
데이터 센터가 이제 전국적으로 이제
participation of the
구축이
private
되고
sector.
있고
Data
약
centers are being
한
established.
25조 원 규모의
And
통신망
25
투자가
trillion
이루어지고 있어서 함께 이제
Korean won
5G
worth
융합
investment will be
서비스도 발굴이
made
활발히
for
이루어지고 있습니다.
making
마지막으로 이제
advanced
말씀드리고 싶은
telecommunication
부분이 이제
network.
디지털
And
포용
I'd like to talk about digital
부분입니다.
inclusiveness.
행정, 교육, 복지, 문화 등
We are
사회
now
각
developing
분야의
digital
디지털
services
서비스가 이제 개발
for
보급될 수
different
있도록
areas in our society, including
적극적으로
administration,
지원을
education,
하고
welfare,
있고
and culture.
예시를 들어서 말씀드리면
To
초중고
give you an
학교에
example,
와이파이가
we are now
구축되고
connecting
전국 각지의 디지털
Wi-Fi
배움터를
network
통해서
at
디지털 교육이
schools.
이루어지고
We are
있으며
also
농어촌
establishing digital
지역에 이제
learning
통신망이
centers. We
고도화되는
are also
등
further
저희가 이제
sophisticating the
디지털
internet
정보
connection
격차 해소에도
in
앞장을
rural
쓰고
and
있는
fishing areas
상황입니다.
so that we can narrow the digital divide.
이러한 그래서 디지털 전환과 그리고 포용을 위한 한국 정부의 이러한 추진 노력과 경험
Thanks
등은
to the
저희가 이제
experience and
그동안
effort
아태
of the Korean
지역의 여러
government,
국가들하고 다양한
now we
글로벌
are
협력 사업을
expanding
하고
our
있음으로써
global
이제
cooperation
외부로
with
이렇게
the
확장되고
regional
확산될 수
countries.
있는 기회가 될
And
수 있다라고
our
생각을
projects can
합니다.
be
특히
replicated
이제
in many
가기
parts of the world.
정통부는
The Ministry of
혁신,
Science and
연결성,
ICT
인적
are
자원,
now
정보
focusing on
보안이라는 네 가지
innovation,
핵심
connectivity,
분야를
human
중심으로
talents, and
그동안 아태
information
지역
security.
여러
These are
국가들하고
the
협력
four main
사업을
topics
다양하게
that we
추진해오고
pursued with
있습니다.
the developing countries in
아시안 오픈
Asia
데이터
Pacific.
네트워크를
There is
구축하고
ASEAN
오픈
Open Data
데이터
Dictionary
이렇게
Development
사전을 개발
Project.
구축하는 사업이라든지 동남아 지역의 이제
In
핵심
Southeast
파트너
Asian countries,
국가들하고
we have some
정보
partner
접근
countries,
인프라와 정보화
and we are
컨텐츠 및
setting
컨설팅을
up Information
지원하는
Access Center
사업 그리고 이제 인적
to
자원과
narrow
사이버 보안
digital gap.
분야에 각
And there
국가
are
간의 이제
also
격차
projects
해소라든지 글로벌
for
협력 강화를 위해서
ICT human
한국의 관련
development
정책 경험
and
등을 이제
information
적극적으로 공유하고
protection. We are sharing
소통하고
our
협력을 강화해
policy
나가고
experiences
있습니다.
with these countries.
지금까지 한국 정부의 그 코로나19 극복과 디지털 경제로의 전환을 위한 다양한 노력과
COVID-19
성과 그리고
responses
이제
and
글로벌
digital
동반 성장을
transformation
위한 협력
support
현황도 소개를
and international
드렸는데요.
cooperation projects have
전
been briefly
세계가 다양한
introduced
글로벌
today.
문제에 직면하고
There are
있는 이
many global
시점에
challenges that we have to
한국의 가기
tackle together,
정통부는 그
and the Ministry of
과학기술과
Science and
정보통신 기술을
ICT
활용하여
will further
국제사회의 지속
utilize
가능한 발전을
ICT
지원하고
and
글로벌
science to
동반 성장에
support
적극적으로 기여할
global
수 있도록 노력을 아끼지 않을 계획입니다.
prosperity.
감사합니다.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Your Digital New Deal can provide a very good insight to other countries, and we look forward to having your cooperation for other countries. Thank you very much. And I will move to our next panelist, Mr. Chung-Hyun Park, who is a Director of Ministry of Justice, International Legal Affairs Division. He has worked as a government official and diplomat at various ministries, including Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade, where he participated in various FTA negotiations. Mr. Park. As you know, transboundary and the fast evolving nature of new technologies and trade requires nimble policy and legal framework by relevant authorities. Please share with us how MOJ closely collaborate with the UNITA UN office to foster legally enabling framework work for trade and investment within Korea and Asia and the Pacific. floor is yours.
Thank you giving me the floor, Mr. Ko. It has been 10 years since Korea hosted Austral RCAP, that is the first and still the only regional office of the Austral. The Korean government has been providing financial and human resources for the RCAP. Moreover, our ministry and RCAP have developed a close relationship, working together in various ways. Here are just a few of the most recent and representative examples. Last year, we co-organized the Austral Special Session for Developing Countries to discuss the adoption of the Singapore Convention on Mediation. We also co-organized ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution Conference, to examine the impacts of the pandemic on arbitration. Not only representatives from Asia-Pacific countries, but those from other regions also participated. This year, we co-organized Incheon Law and Business Forum in September last month under the theme, helping MSMEs set sail with legal harmonization. We look forward to continuing to work together very soon with the ADR Special Session and ADR Festival, which will take place in Seoul in the first week of this November. These events aim to raise awareness and promote effective understanding, adoption, and the use of Austral texts, providing technical support to the governments in the Asian Pacific region. MOJ co-hosted and participated in the events and shared our experience in legislation with the expert government officials and others. In addition, MOJ and the RCAP have also collaborated on research projects. We are working on searching for ways to promote CISG, the UN Convention for International Sales of Goods in Asia-Pacific region. We expect to complete this research by the end of this year, and we will be more than happy to share the results with other countries in the region. These are the projects that we are working on at this moment. I can assure you that the projects have been a great success, but we still have more work to be done. First of all, RCAP should not be limited to its current role of providing technical assistance and organizing events to promote Austral norms. We strongly believe that it should also actively support legislative work, which is the main task of Austral. And let me remind you that the regional center has gained vast experience over the previous 10 years. I do believe this should be put to use in legislative work of Austral. MOJ is very much interested in modernizing and harmonizing of rules on international business, and we look forward to continuing with collaboration with Austral and the RCAP to achieve our goal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Park, and thank you for your continued support. And thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite the next panelist, Mr. Young-Do Kim, who is the CEO of DCAMP from One, a bank's foundation for young entrepreneurs. He was the executive director of Lotte Accelerator, CTO of Lotte Data Communication Company, co-founder of Gmarket, and researcher at POSCO ICT. Mr. Kim, you have a very impressive career, and welcome to join us today. My question is, based on your extensive experience, how private accelerators and incubators support startups and contribute to social innovation? That's my question. To you, Mr. Kim.
네, 안녕하세요. 이런 의미 있는 자리에 초청해 주셔서 감사드립니다.
So thank you for inviting me to this meaningful event.
제가 이제 자료를 좀 준비했는데요.
I've prepared some slides.
보면서
So
말씀드리겠습니다.
I'd like to share with you before I begin my talk.
이번 포럼 주제인 저희 사회 혁신과 저희와
So I'd
같은
like to talk
민간
about
창업
how
지원기관의 역할에
startup
대해서
support
고민해 봤는데요.
agencies can contribute to social
저희는
innovation.
그 혁신의 주체는
We
스타트업이라고
believe that
생각합니다.
innovation can be
그리고
brought about by
저희와
startups.
같은 민간 창업
And
지원기관의
there are
역할은
many
스타트업을
private sector
지원함으로써
support
함께
organizations. We support
혁신에
startups so
기여하는
that
것이라고
we
생각하고
can
있습니다.
achieve
DCAMP에
innovation
대해서
for our
간략히
society. I'd like to
소개드리면
briefly explain what
DCAMP는
DCAMP is.
한국에 있는 국내 19개 은행이 약 7억 달러를 출연해서 만들어진
$700 million are invested by
창업을 지원하는
17
목적으로
banks in
만든
Korea
민간
with an
재단입니다.
aim to support
DCAMP는
startups.
공간,
We
투자,
provide space,
연결이라는
investment,
세
and we
가지
also
키워드로
match
스타트업을 지원하고
investors
있습니다.
with startup companies.
첫 번째는 공간인데요.
We provide space for growth.
코워킹 스페이스,
We
일할
provide
수 있는
co-working
공간을
space
제공하고
for
있습니다.
startup companies.
서울에 있는 두 곳,
There are two locations in Seoul.
선릉이라는 곳과
In
이제
Sunreum,
봉덕에 있는 프론트원 두
and
건물에
we have another
약
one in Mapo. It's
115개의
called Front
스타트업,
One. There are 115
직원 수로는
startups
1,100명의 근무
working
공간을
there.
제공하고 있습니다.
We provide space for a total of 1,500
두 번째
workers.
투자는
When it comes
저희가
to
이제
investment,
지금까지
so far
130여 개의 초기 스타트업에 직접
we
투자를 했고
made direct investment
그리고
for
간접 투자로는
130 startups,
다른 민간 기관들과
and we
함께
also
총
work with
25개의 펀드를
other private
만들었는데
sector
그 펀드
investors. We
규모를 다
created
합치면
25 funds,
90억 달러에
and
달합니다.
it is worth $9 billion in total.
그다음으로 저희가 이제 연결이라는 키워드인데
We
연결이라는
also match
키워드로는
businesses
저희가
with
이제
investors.
D-Day라는 이름으로
We organize an event
D-Day라는
called
이름으로
D-Day,
스타트업 피칭 데모데이를 매달
and
열고 있습니다.
every month
이
we
행사를
organize
통해서
startup pitching demo day
스타트업이
event.
투자자와 대중에게
Then
소개되고
startups can
그렇게
introduce
소개된
themselves to the
다음에 투자
public and
유치가
investors,
일어나고
and
제품
they find
홍보의 기회를
investors. They can also
제공받게
promote
됩니다.
their services and products.
지금까지 총
So far,
84회를 개최했고
84
지원한
D-Days
기업은
were
총 5,000개가
organized, and so
넘습니다.
far more than 5,000 companies have applied to participate
그다음에
in the event.
창업자의 역량을 키우는 프로그램
We
저희는
also have
성장
capacity
프로그램이라고
building
하는데
program. It's called the
사진에서
growth
보이시는
program. As
것처럼
you see in the
유니도가
pictures,
많이 도와주고 계신데요.
we
이
received a lot of
프로그램에는
help from
첫
UNIDO.
번째로는 이제 전문가들이
First of all,
이
we
스타트업
have
창업자에게 1대1로
experts
멘토링하는
who are
오피스
providing
아워라는
one-on-one mentoring
이름으로
to
하고
startups. It's
있고
called
그다음에
office
그룹
hours.
창업자들의
And
그룹과
there's also a
함께하는
group
일종의
mentoring
MBA
program.
프로그램,
It is
스타트업을 위한
similar
MBA
to
프로그램 같은
MBA program
CEO
for startups.
살롱이라는
It is
프로그램도
called
제공하고 있습니다.
CEO Salon.
1대1 오피스 아워는 약
One-on-one office
지금까지
hours so
1,553명
far
포함해서
receive
10,000명에 가까운
1,500
창업자에게 전문가 멘토링과 교육을 제공하고
and
있습니다.
trainings have been provided to more than 10,000 people.
다음으로는 저희가 이제 대표적으로 그런
I'd like to
저희
introduce
프로그램을
you some
통해서
of the startups
지원받고 성장한
that
세 개
received
회사를
support from DCAMP.
소개하고자 합니다.
There are
첫
three companies.
번째로는
First one is
8%라는 회사인데요.
8%.
금융산업에서 혁신을 만든 회사입니다.
They are innovative companies in the banking
금융
industry.
소외층인
For the financially
예를 들면
marginal
신용도가 낮은
people,
금융
for example,
소외층에게
citizens with low credit
대출이나 금리
ratings
부담 문제를 해결해 주기 위해서
can
자금이
receive
필요한
services from
대출자와 그다음에
8%.
수익을 원하는 투자자를 연결해 주는
The service links the obligors
중금리
from the
전문 투자
investors,
또는
and
대출
they
플랫폼
offer
서비스를
mid-rate
제공하는 회사입니다. 이
interest
회사는
rate.
2015년에
This company
피칭데이인 D-Day에 출전한 다음에
participated
업무
in the
공간,
D-Day in
투자,
2015
성장
and
프로그램
received
지원을
support for the
받아서
space
지금은
and growth
굉장히
program.
대표적인 한국의
Now it
핀테크
has
기업으로
become one
성장했습니다.
of the major fintech companies in Korea.
두 번째는
Second case
잘한다는
is
회사인데 맞벌이
잘한다.
부부들이 이제 육아 고민이 많습니다. 그런 문제들을
Young married
해결하기
couples
위해서
have problems in
유아동에게
raising their babies,
교육 돌봄 서비스를
so
제공하는
education and care services are
선생님과
provided.
수요자인
They
부모를
link
연결해주는 플랫폼 서비스를
teachers
제공하고
or
있습니다.
daycare
이
providers
회사도
with
마찬가지로
parents.
2018년 D-Day
In
출전해서
2018, they
입주
participated
공간,
in
투자, 성장
D-Day
프로그램 서비스를
and
제공받았습니다.
received services on space, investment, and growth programs.
마지막으로는 제로 엑스플로우라는
Another
회사인데
company is Zero X Flow.
지금같이 이제 팬데믹 상황에서는 디지털 수업들이
When
많이 일어나고
pandemic
있습니다.
breaks
근데
out,
디지털 수업을 준비하는
digital
선생님들이 굉장히
transformation is
불편한데
expedited, but a lot of
이
difficulties are
회사는
experienced
인공지능
by
기술을 이용해서
teachers
1시간
utilizing
수업을
AI
준비하는데 단
technologies.
1분이면 되는
Teachers
기술
don't have
기반의
to
교육
spend a lot of
플랫폼
time,
서비스를
but
제공하고
it takes
있습니다.
only 1 minute
이
to
회사도
provide their
작년인
services or
2020년에
training. In last year, in
D-Day에
2020,
출전해서
they participated
입주와
in
투자
D-Day,
그리고
received the space
특별히
support
이제
and
유니도의 도움으로
got
인도 대사관과
investment,
오피스 아워를 한 적이 있습니다.
and they
그래서
also participated
인도에서의
in
사업
the
기회를
office hour
발굴하기도
with
했습니다.
the Indian
다시 한번
embassy.
좋은 자리에
And
초대해 주셔서 감사드리고
UNIDO
경청해
provided
주셔서
a lot of
감사드립니다.
support. Thank you for
고맙습니다.
giving me this opportunity to explain
Thank you
our
very much,
company,
Mr.
and thank you very much for
Kim.
your listening.
Very impressive performance. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to invite our next panelist, Ms. Jong-hee Choi, Deputy Director of COSTAT, who has 30 years of experience in the field of statistics. Among many of her achievements, she developed the Korean crime classification and COSTAT's time use survey and Korean green growth indicators. This is Ms. Choi. We all know that data privacy is a very hot topic, especially when we talk about innovative solutions using big data, smart data, or what have you. Please share with us how case statistics by COSTAT could manage to address this very delicate and difficult issue. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jong-hee Choi, Statistics Korea, COSTAT. First of all, thank you for being here. I'll be explaining briefly COSTAT's pursuit of case statistics system. The case statistics system takes a new approach to maximize the potential utility of data dispersed across governments and public agencies. Furthermore, COSTAT will also utilize big data from the private sector. A prominent feature of the case statistics system is that its design is based on homomorphic and encryption, which permits users to perform computations on its encrypted data without first decrypting the data. Thereby, unlike the past, no additional process of decoding is needed, which is typically used for calculating data. As a result, the risk of exposing sensitive personal information is fundamentally eliminated. Through this technique, our computers will connect with crime, financial, medical, and other private sensitive information without any decryption. So this will improve data security and eliminate the possibility of a personal data breach. This also should restore trust among the people as it addresses concerns about misuse or abuse of personal information. One of the primary challenges that this project faces is the slow processing speed when it comes to connecting existing data. Faster processing speed is required for effective data uses and improved data security. Thus, this year, Our COSTET began a three-year project worth $3 million to secure the homomorphic encryption technique. The goal of COSTET is to establish a pilot model in 2023 and the case statistics system by 2025. The thorough protection of personal information backed by cutting-edge cryptography, along with our broad and active support for data utilization, are the two pillars of the case statistics system. So we expect to provide the global society with an exemplary case for good practices in data use. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much. Congratulations on the very successful implementation of the model. Thank you very much. Thank you. Our next panelist is Mr. Kang Tak Oh, Vice President of National Information Society Agency, NIA, who has over 22 years of experience with NIA in areas such as e-government, information culture, inclusion, among many others. He has worked as a head of the e-government department, planning a new digital government strategy during this pandemic. Mr. Oh, good to see you again, and congratulations on your promotion. NIA is playing a big role in digital transformation in government sector globally, and our office is closely collaborating with your office too. Now, please share with us what are major actions that Korean government has taken in establishing digital data governance framework for digital transformation. The floor is yours.
네, 반갑습니다. 방금 소개받은
Everyone was introduced.
한국지능정보사회원의
My name is
오광택입니다.
Ogang-taek, Vice President of NIA
사회자께서
Korea.
설명하신 대로 저는 지난
As was
20여 년
explained, for
동안
the past 20 years,
우리나라의
I've been
전자정부
engaged in
구현을 위한
Korean
전략과
e-government
관련된 사업
strategies.
추진과 관련된 일을 해왔습니다. 여러분 잘 아시는 것처럼
As
우리
you
정부는 지난
understand,
30년
for the past
넘게
30
디지털
years
기술을
or
활용해서
so, Korean
정부의
government
디지털 전환을
utilized digital
해왔는데요.
technology to
이번에
achieve
코로나
digitalization of the
팬데믹으로
government.
우리가
Because of
기존에도
the
좋은
COVID-19
인프라와
pandemic, of
시스템
course,
갖고
we already
있었지만
have good infrastructure and
개선할
system,
점도 같이
and we were also able to understand what should be improved.
드러나게 되었습니다. 그래서 코로나 팬데믹이
So
한국 정부의
COVID-19
어떤 정부의
pandemic
어떤 디지털 전환을 가속화한
actually
계기가 되었다라고 생각합니다.
expediting digital
물론
transformation of
지난해
the Korean government.
이런
Last
코로나
year,
팬데믹에 대응하기
in
위해서
response to
디지털
COVID-19
정부
pandemic,
혁신 발전 계획을
digital
수립했는데요.
government
오늘
innovation
제가 짧은
strategy was
시간에
announced. And
한국 정부가
today,
추진하고
I would
있는
like to
디지털
talk
정부
about digital
혁신의 주요
government
사업 몇 가지를
innovation
소개해 드리려고
projects.
합니다. 크게 분류하면 비대면
There are
서비스
mainly
확대, 그리고
expansion
블록체인
of
등
zero
신기술을 활용한
contact
공공 서비스 혁신,
projects and
그리고
innovation
공공
of
데이터
public service
개방을 활용
utilizing big
촉진,
data,
그리고
and
마지막으로
promotion of
인프라
public data utilization and
확충과
open
관련해서
data, and
5G
expansion of
정부망 구축, 그리고
infrastructure,
정부의
5G
모든
network
정보 자원에
expansion,
대한 클라우드
and
전환 등입니다.
transition to cloud
그럼
of
먼저
government
그 비대면
data.
서비스와
Talking
관련해서는
about the zero
주로
contact
대표적으로
services
추진하고 있는
expansion,
사업이
there are major
모바일
projects.
신분증, 또 마이
Mobile
데이터,
ID,
전자
My
증명서
Data,
발급 사업들,
e-certificate
그리고 맞춤형
issuance,
복지 서비스
and customized
등이 추진되고
welfare
있습니다.
services are some of
먼저
the main projects.
그 모바일
When it
신분증인데요.
comes
그
to the mobile
운전면허증 등
ID,
실물 신분증 없이도
driver's
휴대
license or
전화만
other ID
있으면
cards are not necessary. If you have your
온라인
mobile phones,
오프라인에서
you can
본인의
use that
자격이나
mobile
신원을 확인할 수
ID
있게
to
하는
prove your
DID
identity
기반의
online
그
and
디지털
offline.
신분증 도입을
So this is the
추진 중입니다.
ID-based
지난해
digital
공무원
ID
대상으로
card.
시범
Government
도입했고요. 올해는
officials
운전면허증을
have
추진할
this
예정으로
digital ID,
지금
and this
사업을
year we're
추진하고
going
있습니다.
to launch the service for
다음은 마이데이터 사업입니다.
driver's
이 마이데이터
license. My
사업은
Data
여러분 잘 아시는
project
것처럼
is, as
그
you know,
EU의 그 GDPR에서 정의한 개인정보
there
이동권
is a
보장에 근거한
GDPR
이동권
defined
보장이라는 철학에 근거한 새로운
new
디지털 정보
digital
서비스의
information
패러다임이라고
service
말할 수 있는데요. 정보 주체가 개인
regarding data
데이터에
movement,
대한 열람이나 제공 범위, 접근 승인 등은
access,
직접
approval,
결정함으로써
보다
of
효율적인 업무
personal
처리를 할
data
수
should
있도록 하는
be
사업입니다.
managed by the owner of the data,
그래서
which
현재
is the
우리
principle of
정부는
this
지난해
project. Last
이
year,
마이데이터 서비스 기반으로 약 한 24종의
24
데이터셋
types
기반의
of data
사업을
set
시범적으로
related
추진했고요.
projects were
올해도
piloted,
약 한
and this year,
10종의 그 마이데이터
10
기반의
My Data-based
종이 서류 없는 통합적인
paperless
업무 처리가 가능한 마이데이터 서비스를
business service
올 연말에
will
제공할
be
예정입니다.
provided at the end of the year.
세 번째로는 전자증명서 사업인데요. 이번
The third one is the electronic or
코로나19에서
e-certificate.
한국의 경우 그 마스크
In Korea,
대란이라는 등 사회적 문제가 났을
there
때도
were a
이
lot of people struggling
전자증명서는
to
매우 유용한
buy
수단으로 활용되기도
masks,
했습니다.
and e-certificate was really useful for people to
주민등록증본이라든지
use.
운전 경력 증명서 등 같은
Driving
증명서를
experience
전자증명서로
certificate, other types
발급받아서
of certificates
필요한
can be
곳에
issued electronically
전달하고
and used by
할 수 있는
citizens.
사업입니다. 지난해 저희가 한
Last year,
100종에 넘는
100 kinds of
전자증명서를
e-certificates
개발했고요.
have been developed,
올해까지는
and
이
up until this year,
전자증명서를 300종으로 확대할
the number will
계획으로
be
추진 중에
increased to
있습니다.
300 types of certificate.
그리고 복지 서비스에 대한
When it comes to the
수요가
welfare
늘어나고
service,
있는데요.
we are increasing
중앙정부나 지자체
we are
또
seeing increasing
공공기관에서
demand for
제공하는
welfare
각종
services. There are different types
보조금
of
등
subsidies
극부적인 복지
and benefits
서비스를
provided by
단일
local agencies,
창구에서 PC나
and
스마트폰
PC
등
or
다양한 채널을
smartphones or
통해서
other
우리가
devices can be
안내받고
used
또
to
서비스를
get information on
추천받고 또
services, or you can
신청까지
get
할 수
service
있는
recommendations, and
맞춤형
you can
복지
also apply for
서비스도 개발 중에
services
있습니다.
on your device.
다음으로는
Next,
아까
I would like to
말씀드린 것처럼
talk
우리가
about
블록체인 기술을 활용한
another
혁신적인 공공
project.
서비스도 개발
We are
중인데요.
innovating public
현재
services
우리가 블록체인
utilizing
기술을
blockchain
활용한 복지급여
technology.
중복수급 관리라든지
We are
부동산
maintaining
거래라든지 또
duplicated
온라인
payment
투표
of
등 국민
welfare
생활의
services. We are also
체감도가
using the
높은 분야를
blockchain
기준으로
technology for online
시범
polling.
실증 사업들을
And these
추진하고
are some of the
있습니다.
pilot projects that we've been testing.
다음으로는
And
5G,
next,
클라우드 등
there is a
최신
5G
디지털
and
기술을
cloud and
활용한
other digital
공무원들의 일하는
technologies that
환경을
are
스마트하게
used
바꾸는
to
사업입니다.
change the
그리고
way
아울러서
government officials are
정부
working,
행정기관 및 공공기관이
and public administration
관리하고 있는
offices
전산
and
자원에 대한 효율적이고
public
안정적인
agencies
운영을
are
위한 클라우드
maintaining
전환 사업을 추진 중에 있습니다.
information systems, and we are transferring the
5G
data into
국가망
cloud. 5G
구축 사업이
network
지난해부터
expansion
우리가
system
추진되고
began,
있고요. 또 클라우드 기반의
and
웹 오피스
cloud-based
도입 등을 통해서 공무원이
web office will be
출장지나
introduced so that
재택근무
government
등 근무지와 무관하게
officers
언제 어디서나
can work at home and while
행정망에
they're
정보
on
시스템에
their business
접속해서 업무를
trip.
처리할 수
So they will
있는
have constant access to the
모빌리티가
information
보장된
that's
업무
required
환경을
for their
구축하고 있습니다.
tasks.
가장 대규모 투자가 이루어지는 사업
A
중
lot of
하나가
investment has been made
행정과 공공기관이
in
자체적으로
administration
운영
and
중에
public
있는
agencies
정보 자원도
information
오늘
resources. By
2025년까지
2025,
정부 내 클라우드 센터, 즉
Government Cloud Center,
정부 내 프라이빗 클라우드
that's a
센터나
private
또는
cloud center
민간의 클라우드
run by
센터로
the
이전
government,
통합하는
or
사업을
there will
추진
be
중입니다.
a private
저희가
sector
지난해
cloud that will
모든 행정
host
및
the open
공공기관이
data.
보유하는 전산 자원에 대한
A lot of
현황을 조사하고
IT
올해
systems will be
1차적으로 한
reviewed,
500여
and
개
this
시스템
year
대상으로
500 systems
정부의
will be
전산 자원을 클라우드로 전환 통합하는 사업을 추진 중입니다.
switched to cloud.
2025년까지
By
행정 및
2025,
공공기관을 운영하는 모든
public
전산 자원은
administration and
정부
public
내 클라우드
agencies
센터나 또는 민간의
IT
클라우드 센터로
systems will
이전
be
통합할
transited to
예정입니다.
either public cloud or private cloud.
끝으로 이러한 디지털
Last but
전환과
least,
관련해서 정부와 또 민간 부분의 디지털 역량 강화 기술 개발
and the
지원 또
private
국민의 디지털
sector
전환 역량 강화를 위한
capacity
다양한
building will be
프로그램도 추진 중에
assisted, and we
추진 중에
will
있습니다.
work on
우선
other
공무원들의
projects
경우는
as well. For government
데이터
officers,
분석 활용 역량 강화를 위한
data
다양한
analytic
프로그램들이 마련되고
capability will
추진되고
be
있고요.
enhanced through various
민간
programs.
영역에서도
In the
보면
private
디지털 혁신
sector,
인재 양성을
digital
위한
innovative
소프트웨어
talents
개발자
will be
허브
nurtured,
조성이라든지
and
산업
developer
전문
hub
인력
will be
AI 역량
created,
강화
and
또
AI
이노베이션
capacity
아카데미 등을
building and
운영하고
innovation
있습니다.
academy are being
아울러 앞서
operated
과기부의
now.
과장께서
As
잠깐
mentioned by the
소개해드렸는데요.
representative from
전 국민의
MSIT,
디지털 역량 강화를
in
위한
order
사업도
to
추진입니다.
enhance the digital
전국 약
capability
1000여
of our
곳에 넘는
citizens, more than 1,000 government
주민센터나
agencies,
도서관, 복지관 등의
like the
디지털
resident
역량
centers and
센터를 설치
libraries, will have
운영하면서
digital
전국민을
capacity
대상으로
building
한
centers
디지털
so that
리터러시
digital
강화
literacy
교육도
can be
추진하고
enhanced
있습니다.
among the general
아울러
public.
정부의 디지털
Moreover,
전환에
digital
장애가
transition of the
되는
government
걸림돌로 작용하고 있는 각종
suffered a
법제도
number
기반도
of
정비해 나가고
rules and
있습니다.
regulations which are being
우선
now
지난해
revised and upgraded.
개인정보법이나
Personal
정보통신법,
Information
신용정보법 등
Protection Act and Credit
데이터
Information
경제
Act
활성화를
some
위한
of
데이터
the
3법도 개정이
Data
완료됐고요.
Commercial Act
또 정부의
that's
데이터 기반의
recently
과학
established and
행정을 위한
database
데이터 기반 행정
administration will
활성화법,
be
그리고 민원
supported
처리법,
by the
클라우드
relevant law.
컴퓨팅
There is a Civil Complaint
시행령, 또
Digitalization
전자성명법 등도
Act and
개정해서
e-signature Act that's
국가사회
revised
그리고 정부의 디지털 전환을
to
위한
support the
법제적 기반도
digital transformation of the government and our
정비했습니다.
society.
두 번째 주제인데 저희가 NIA가 추진하고 있는 글로벌 디지털
Global
인클루전
digital
관련된 사업인데요.
inclusion is another project
최근
that we
코로나
are
팬데믹
pursuing.
이후에
Since the
글로벌
COVID-19
디지털
pandemic,
전환이
global
가속화되고
digital
있고 또
transformation is being
개도국으로부터 이런 디지털
expedited,
전환에 대한
and
지원에
there are a
대한
lot
시도가
of
증가하고
requests
있는
for support from
상황입니다.
developing countries.
가장 대표적으로는
One example is that
저희가 개발도상국가의 전자정부 협력센터를
we have
설치해서
e-government cooperation
개도국들의
centers in
정부의 디지털
developing
전환이나
countries
또
to support
개도국의
developing countries'
디지털
transition
인프라 구축
towards
등에
e-government. We
대한
are helping them to
컨설팅과 또 실증 구축 사업도
build
추진하고 있습니다.
e-government
현재
infrastructure. We are also doing
전자정부
pilot projects. We
협력센터는
have the e-government support
우즈베키스탄,
center in
인도네시아,
Uzbekistan, Indonesia,
그리고
Cambodia,
튀니지,
and
페루
Tunisia
등에 설치 운영
and
중에
Peru.
있고요. 이러한 전자정부
And the
협력센터를
e-government
통해서 국가의
cooperation
디지털
centers
정보
are really
전략이라든지
active to
AI
support
전략들,
AI
또
strategies and
AI
digitization
기반의
support,
대국민
as well
서비스
as
시범
AI-based
발굴
civil
등의
service
사업과
development.
또 개발 사업들을 추진하고
There are
있습니다.
also other development projects.
아울러 NI가 하고 있는 디지털
Moreover, we have digital global
포용과 관련한 사업으로는
inclusive related projects. That
개도국의
is
어떤 정보 접근 센터 구축을 통해서
to establish
개도국
information
일반
access
주민들의
center.
디지털 리터러시 강화에도
Residents
기여하고
of
있고요.
developing
또
countries
매년
are now
ICT
benefiting from
봉사단을
the centers to improve
파견해서
their digital
개도국
literacy. We're
학생들을 대상으로
sending
한 디지털
experts so that
역량교육도
we
추진해오고
can
있습니다.
improve the
다만
capacity of
지난해에는
young
코로나
students.
팬데믹의
Last year,
영향으로
because of the
학생들이
pandemic,
파견되지
we
못하고
couldn't
우리가
have the student
온라인
exchange,
방식으로
and we
우리가
organized the
개도국의
program.
학생들을 대상으로 한
We
디지털
invited the
역량교육
students
프로그램을
from
진행한
developing
바가
countries to
있습니다.
provide the sessions in
끝으로
digital capacity
월드뱅크,
building.
또 UN-SCOP,
World
또
Bank, UN-SCOP,
아세안,
and
또 AFDB
ASEAN,
등 여러
AFDB,
국제기구가
and other international
공동으로
organizations work
개도국의 디지털
together
전환을 위한
to
컨설팅
support
과제를
digital
개발해서
transformation
다양한
of the
프로젝트를 추진하고
developing
있습니다.
countries. We
스마트
have
팜이라든지
provided
정부의
consulting for smart
ERP
farm
개발이라든지 또
or
재정
ERP
운영의
development
효율화를 위한
and
컨설팅
efficient
사업들, 또
accounting
공공
of the government
데이터
and
개방의
public
활용에
data
관련된 부분,
utilization.
특히
There were
개도국 국가들의
also
초도소
consultation
정보통신망
for
구축과 더 5G 구축망
high-speed
전략 구축
5G
등에
network establishment.
관련한 컨설팅 사업을 추진하고 있습니다. 지금까지 해왔던 것처럼 저희
As we've been
NI는
doing so far,
과기정통부 그리고 행정안전부와
and I will
함께
continue to work with
오늘
MSIT
이
and
자리를 만들어주신
Ministry
UN
of Safety
거버넌스
and
센터,
Interior,
또 UN-SCOP, 또
and we will
국제기구
continue to
등과
work with
함께
international
협력하면서
organizations, including UN-SCOP,
개도국들의
to
디지털
support
전환을
digital
지원하는 데
transformation of
노력을
developing
아끼지
countries.
않겠습니다. 감사합니다.
With that, I will finish.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ho, and we really look forward to NIA's a great contribution in the areas of e-government and digital transformation. Thank you very much. And our next speaker, not the least, but the last speaker or panelist is Mr. Mujin Wu, General Manager of SK Telecom's Global Partnerships and Business Development. He has expertise in business strategy, mobile applications, blockchain, IoT, and he works with the global partners such as UN Global Compact and World Food Program. Mr. Wu, thank you for joining us today, and floor.
예, 반갑습니다. 제가 마지막인가요?
Thank you. Am I the last presenter? Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you for inviting me here. And my name is Mujin Wu, General Manager of SK Telecom.
World Food Program, UN Global Compact 등
So the UN World Food Program is exploring partnership with the Korean companies. So SK Telecom is working on it. And SK Telecom is the largest ICT or telecommunications companies. We are using innovative technologies, including AI and big data. So we are advancing into the new technology area. And also by using the technologies that we have, we are contributing to make a better world. And also, we are working on making a lot of efforts to achieve many things. And I'd like to take some examples. And in terms of the health and well-being, so we use our technologies that we have so that we can protect the various kinds of social safety nets. And we are responding properly to the COVID-19 pandemic situation. And so in terms of the self-quarantine period, the self-quarantine people needs to be checked. So the conditions of the people in self-quarantine are being checked through our technologies. So far, through our technology, the conditions of the people in self-quarantine were checked. So about 500,000 people were checked in terms of their conditions. And also through the inquiry session, we identified people in initial stage so that they can be distanced with others in order to avoid or prevent transmission. And the senile dementia as well. And with the aging society, 1 million people are expected to have the senile dementia. So we are providing AI-based dementia prevention system. And if we use this system, this is good for recognition, cognitive ability. So you can prevent the development of the dementia for about 2 or 3 years. So this can delay the development of the dementia. So I'd like to talk about another example as well. Digital divide issue. So digital divide issue is one of the serious issues that we are facing these days, and more the digital divide is getting bigger. So SK Telecom is running various kinds of programs so that we can support qualitative education, one of the SDG goals of the United Nations. And so mobile phones can be used easily for education, and the social media and the other digital devices could be used. And we are providing support to make that happen. And also for the unemployed people, we are providing training and education programs, and so that they can get jobs easily. And we are also providing a program to increase the capabilities of ICT related skills for those disabled people, including the youth. So these education and training programs are also being offered by the SK Telecom. So far, more than 100,000 people participated in such a program. SK Telecom is providing a customized lifelong education and training program for those vulnerable. And along with the WFP, in order to promote the achievements of the realizations of the SDGs, we are doing a partnership with the WFP. So with COVID-19, a non-face-to-face contact is increasing, so the private information is exposed easily. So blockchain-based technology is needed. So that will contribute to resolving the problems posed by the constraints of the current data system. And we are providing various kinds of service platforms by using the technical base that we have in Korea. And we are working on enhancing scoping technologies. And we are in collaboration and in discussion with the WFP, and we look forward to more cooperative and advanced relations with the UN organizations. And also, SK Telecom is contributing to the zero waste, zero hunger, the ideal situation. So we are running various kinds of programs to make that happen. And we would like to have a discussions on what we can do concerning zero hunger and zero waste programs. And we look forward to further cooperation with the UN agencies, and we will continue making efforts to make this world better. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I understand SK's ESG is an essential component of the company, and I look forward to have your continuous support and contribution. Thank you very much. Now, thank you very much, all the panelists, for your wonderful conversation and insightful ideas. Now, we will move into Q&A, but due to time constraint, I would like to propose not to carry on our Q&A session. I hope your kind understanding. And please kindly send us your questions by email to the respective offices, and we'd like to entertain. We will entertain, try to entertain as much as possible, and our email addresses will be posted on the chat box. Thank you very much for your kind understanding. Now I'd like to hand over to my virtual mic to Adita for the closing of this session. Adita?
Thank you very much, Kyung. On behalf of the co-organizers of Session 3, a heartfelt thank you to all speakers, panel discussants, and audience members for your perceptive contributions. We hope we have collectively illustrated how we at the United Nations, partnering government agencies, and private stakeholders join forces to further enhance innovation and digital transformation in the Republic of Korea and the Asia-Pacific region in a multidimensional and creative manner. We look forward to continuing our strong collaboration with all partners here today and new partners as the global community embarks on the post-pandemic new normal and building back better. As we're short on time, I will now pass the floor back to Mr. Kyung Ko, Head of APC ICT SCAP, for closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Atita. Thank you for your mindful time control for the very succinct summary and the takeaway message from the panel discussion. Dear colleagues and ladies and gentlemen, this concludes all of today's program. Thank you for your active participation and fruitful discussion today. I hope the policy dialogue provided some insights into the work of the United Nations and the extensive collaboration we have with the stakeholders in Korea. We also hope to use today's discussion and recommendations for building a stronger connection with Korea for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and our common agenda. Please keep an eye on our follow-up actions from the United Nations, and we look forward to meeting you soon in person soon. With this, thank you for your kind attention, and bye. Thank you very much.